Hi everyone, Brian from Bearable Traders here. It's the weekend, November 28th weekend video where we'll take a look at the past week, what happened then, and then we'll look ahead and see what's coming down the pipe for this week. But crazy week last week. Friday, supposed to be usually a very quiet half day of trading between Thanksgiving and the weekend, but turned into a real barn burner. So let's get down and take a look at how we finish the week off and what we can expect in the coming week here. All right, let's just start out by looking at what happened last week, just high level view. Of course, we had this news of the new COVID variant really rattled the markets on Friday. Again, it was supposed to be a quiet day, but we didn't see that at all. Lots of selling and on volume. So we'll take a look at that as we dive in and look at some of the charts. So areas of strength and weakness, of course, we had the vaccine stocks, of course, were the ones that really benefited from this news. And pretty much everything else got taken to the woodshed. So we had energy, travel, anything travel related, reopening stocks, all really beaten down on Friday. Interest rates dropped pretty hard as well. The US dollar dropped, but it was really extended to the upside anyway. But let's take a look at some of the indexes and take a deep dive here. And before we do that, of course, I always like to put in this quick plug for my book on Amazon, How to Swing Trade. It's rules, routines, and strategies that I use as a swing trader to make trades. So if you want to check it out, it's there on Amazon. Okay, so let's get down and start looking at some of these charts here and see where we've been and where we might be going. I always like to start out with the bonds because they typically do have a lot of impact on the markets. And you can see here, we are still in an uptrend, but again, this is the 2-year Treasury yields well off their highs. They actually gapped up and really sold off here. So on this COVID news, I guess anticipating maybe the if this variant is more serious, the Fed won't be so quick to raise rates. So that was probably the thinking there, at least the knee-jerk reaction. And you can see here, again, we are kind of in an established uptrend, but really putting in some topping action here on the 10-year as well. And again, big, almost tried to go higher on Friday, but then really sold off hard to end low on the day, going out right at the low of the day on the 10-year. So probably going to see weakness there for a while. Transports took a big hit, obviously, on Friday as well. Really lost this 20 moving average here and looking for a little more downside, although we are probably into this 16,000 area. It could be some support. We didn't at least go out on low of the day, but look at the volume. You'll see that as a reoccurring theme. Remember, this is a Friday where we had only a half day of trading. And look at the volume. Weekly, again, looking a little toppy here. But again, so much money sloshing around in the economy, it's hard to believe we're going to get a huge sell-off. The Dow, again, big selling day on Friday. Lots of volume. We are into an area where we should see some support. And we'll go through that at the end. But you can see here, we did finish off the low of the day. You can see volume was a lot bigger on Friday, even though we had only a half a day of trading. Weekly, again, we've kind of lost this 20 moving average because of Friday's action. So again, we'll talk about some areas of support when we get to the end of the video. The Qs, again, actually tried to gap up at the open, or actually didn't try to gap up. Did try to break out of this range, but then just sold off. Again, volume pretty strong for a half day of trading there. The Qs on a weekly, again, looking a little toppy here. We may end up getting another little sell-off here, but again, I don't see a huge drop, but certainly some selling pressure next week. Again, the SPY, again, a big drop Friday. Look at that volume on the SPY on Friday. This, again, half-day trading. And look at that volume compared to all these previous days. Pretty significant. The weekly, again, looking a little toppy here. So kind of looking similar to what we had back here. The IWM, that's interesting. It did this breakout, had a really nice breakout going, and then we put in a lower high. And I mentioned this at the time. I remember doing some videos on this, saying, this could be a lower high. We could be heading lower, and of course we headed back down, and we actually broke through this area where we made this aggressive move to the upside. And now we're right back into this range where we've been trading, pretty much throughout the year. So resistance 230, support somewhere in this 220 area. And you can see we were really well off the lows of the day on the IWM, even though we did gap down significantly. So kind of interesting price action there, right back at this 50 moving average on the IWM. The dollar, again, super extended to the upside, as I mentioned, so was due for a pullback, and maybe that was the catalyst on Friday that caused this selling to happen. We are still, what I would say, it looks like in an uptrend, although again, probably going to take a few days here to settle out. And the VIX, obviously the VIX, huge move up here on the fear index, and a really big move there. And Bitcoin really took a beating as well. And you can see here we were trying to hold this sort of 56,500, 400 level right in this area, and just really started to look like we were gonna find a bottom. And then we had the big selling day on Friday where everything got sold. So again, lots of volume. So we'll see if we can hold here. This is an area. You can see here prior resistance. Now this was kind of a breakout, then check back, but this is pretty significant area here for Bitcoin. So I'd be watching this 53,600 area is probably an area that you don't want to see breached. So let's take a look. We'll just use Finviz here to check out how the various groups did. You can see a lot of red on the screen, even on a weekly basis. Most just pretty much every sector down on the week, and again, probably a lot of that related to Friday's selling. And there could have even been some forced selling on Friday, some margin calls, making it even worse than probably it was. So again, healthcare seemed to do well, the best during the week, during Friday anyway. But that again, probably due to the fact that some of the vaccine stocks were getting a bid on the news. For the week, we had some of the safety trades that were really at least the best out of a bad group. Utilities and consumer defensives like staples. It's still down on the week, but not severely. Some of the more cyclical stuff like the consumer cyclicals, even technology took a hit on the week. And I still think that if we do get into some sort of churning, I think technology is probably going to do okay. If anything, it's going to keep us, we have to lock down again. Technology is kind of the key to everything that's going on in our economy. So I still kind of like technology as a sector. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the watch stocks I've got here on my list. I'm looking at Apple. Apple's right back, had a big pullback on Friday. And you can see here, this is an area where I would expect some support based on this prior level of resistance. And if we don't hold there, we're going to head probably down to this area here, this 152.50, pretty close to this moving average as well. So possibly some more downside on Apple if we can't hold here, but I still think it's, if it does get down there, it's probably a decent buy for a longer term hold. Certainly the momentum indicators are showing it's kind of rolling over here at this point, but again, we'll see what happens on Monday. Disney, another one that I'm kind of keeping an eye on. This is the weekly chart. You can see here we're right back into an area of prior resistance and where we broke out from. So if we take a look at it on a daily basis, see how we finished out the week. Again, gap down. Of course, this is going to take a hit with the news on the COVID-related variant, but again, well off the lows of the day, which I thought was fairly encouraging. And maybe stochastics are going to start to turn up here. So I'd keep an eye on Disney. This could be, this area could be the low that we see on Disney before we have a bit of a comeback. skip ahead. DraftKings down into an area. This is an area of pretty significant support, right in this 35 area. If we do if we do start to roll here, and if we get down below 30, we're in a lot of trouble. But maybe looking like DraftKings has some support here. Again, this is the weekly. Let's take a look at the daily. Again, actually not a bad day on Friday. This is kind of an anomaly you like to look for. Everything's selling, but DraftKings catching a bit of a bid here on Friday, and you can see sort of the momentum indicators starting to turn up a bit. So maybe DraftKings possible long here next week. Facebook, again, we're back into some sort of range bound here. I would look at somewhere around 330 as being sort of an area of support that's pretty close to the 200-day moving average. And Micron had a good not a bad day, even though it did gap down. It had really run up here, and so was really overdue for a correction. But something to keep an eye on. Micron, not a lot of selling volume, not a lot of volume on Friday, so just not a lot of buyers and a few sellers. PayPal, again, we're kind of looking at sort of some bottoming action here, possibly. Did not have a very good day on Friday, kind of pop up and then sold off, went down near the low of the day. So again, it does look like it's trying to put in a bottom here. You might see a bounce. So weekly, we are into this area of sort of 180 being support. Snap, again, Snap, this is a very sort of critical area for Snap. If we start to lose this sort of 50 level, look out below. And Tesla, always catching a bid. Looks like $1,000 is where our pretty significant support is. Maybe sort of this 1180 area, 1200 is where resistance is, and we may just churn in that range again. Not a lot of movement on Friday, especially for a stock like Tesla. You can see the volume very low there, so a bit of selling, but not significant. So interesting on Tesla as well. So let's just wrap things up here. What to watch next week? I would watch the Qs. There's should be some support around 390. We are almost there now, and if we do look like we're going to fail there, I guess 382 will be the next stop on that. The SPY, I'd watch for support around this 453 level, and Dow looking like maybe some support here around the 34,500. This is all if we get some selling on Monday morning. Watch for these areas to hold. The IWM, as I mentioned earlier, we're back into a range. We've seen that most of the year, not sent. Supports around 220, resistance around 230. So we may end up just chopping in this range some more to the end of the year. I would watch for more volatility next week. I think there'll be continued uncertainty around this new variant for a couple weeks until they start to get some more information on it. And I guess right now the governments are being cautious about travel, shutting things down again. So that's going to weigh a little bit on the markets until we get more information. Economic events, there'll be the unemployment rate and non-farm payroll changes on Friday. Something to look forward to, but nothing earth-shattering. And we do have a bit of earnings. CRM, Salesforce, Zscaler, and then Wednesday, CrowdStrike and Snow. After the market closed, Thursday, Dollar General, and then these three, Docu, Marvel, and Ulta on after the market close on Thursday. So a bit of earnings, but again, probably some continued volatility as we go into the coming week here. So that's it, everybody. Hope everyone's had a good weekend, and we'll see you all Monday morning, 8 o'clock. We'll start live on YouTube with Jared, engineering the markets, and then Norm and Carlos doing the pre-market show at 8:30. So hope to see you all there, and then we'll be trading the markets opens at 9:30. And yeah, that's it. Have a great rest of the weekend, what's left of it. Cheers.